The mysterious signal. The night was quiet at Deep Space Listening Station 41, a secret research facility hidden in the cold mountains. It was built to listen for any strange signals from space, whispers from the universe. Inside the station, Dr. Alan Carter sat in his chair, sipping cold coffee. His eyes were tired from staring at computer screens all day. Most of the time, they heard nothing, just random noise from dead stars. But tonight was different. A strange signal appeared on the screen, clear, repeating, not random. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and strong. Alan's hands froze over the keyboard. His heart started beating faster. "Is this real?" he whispered. The signal had a pattern, almost like a message. But it wasn't human. It was ancient. The computer estimated it was traveling for over 1,000,000 years before reaching Earth. Alan hit the alarm. Red lights flashed. Within minutes, his team gathered around, eyes wide, staring at the screen. "This isn't natural," whispered Dr. Emily Rice, the station's lead analyst. Alan nodded. "Someone, or something, sent this. The signal was not meant for Earth." The computer traced its origin, a faraway part of the galaxy. It was calling out to a specific location. But there was a problem. The coordinates didn't match any known planet, civilization, or radio station. It was aimed at empty space. An ancient race, a lost civilization, a forgotten empire. The scientists exchanged nervous glances. They had to answer. They were never supposed to answer. "Prepare a response," Alan said. His voice was calm, but inside, he felt something was wrong. The team worked fast, crafting a reply in simple binary code, Earth's first answer to the unknown. A final warning flashed on Alan's screen before he hit send. "Do you wish to proceed?" Warning. Unknown consequences. Alan hesitated. What if this signal was a trap? But the curiosity was stronger. He pressed the button. The reply launched into space at the speed of light. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the world changed. Something noticed the reply. The moment the signal left Earth, satellites malfunctioned. GPS systems glitched. Deep space probes shut down. The International Space Station lost contact for 2 minutes. Across the world, astronomers reported unusual distortions in space. Something was moving, but it was invisible. Then, another message came through. But this one was not in binary. It was not friendly. The station's speakers crackled. A voice, deep and broken, echoed through the room. "You were not the ones we expected, yet you have answered." The power flickered. Screens turned black. Then the main screen showed something new, a set of unknown symbols, forming a pattern. Emily's hands trembled. "This isn't a message." Alan swallowed hard. "Then what is it?" She looked at him, fear in her eyes. "It's coordinates." Something was coming. The message was not a conversation. It was a beacon, a warning, or maybe a summons. Ellen's mind raced. What if the original receivers of the signal were gone? What if we just took their place? Outside, in the vast emptiness of space, something shifted. Something old. Something waiting. And now it knew about Earth. A forgotten morning. The world didn't know it yet, but humanity had made a terrible mistake. At Deep Space Listening Station 41, the tension was suffocating. The mysterious coordinates flashed on the screen like a silent threat. Something had answered. Dr. Alan Carter's fingers trembled as he typed. His mind raced through possibilities. Was this a trap? A test? A warning? Emily Rice, the lead analyst, whispered, "We need to tell someone. Right now." Ellen nodded and grabbed the emergency phone. The call connected to the Global Space Command, the organization that monitored deep space threats. "This is Dr. Carter. We've received a response. We're sending you the data now." There was silence on the other end. Then a voice replied, "Stay where you are. Do not transmit anything further. The line cut off. Alan exchanged a worried look with Emily. Something wasn't right. Then the lights flickered, and across the world, ancient secrets began to wake. The hidden archive. In a high-security vault deep beneath Geneva, an alarm blared. A system that had been dormant for centuries had suddenly activated. The Black Archive. Buried beneath layers of government secrecy, this archive held classified knowledge too dangerous for the world. Files on lost civilizations, unexplained disappearances, and things that humanity was never meant to find. A small team of intelligence officers gathered in front of a massive screen. The oldest file in their system had just unlocked itself. Its title: The TLR, AWARNAing to Humanity. Inside the file was an ancient message, written long before modern technology could have detected anything in deep space. If you hear the signal, you must never respond. The message is not a call for help. It is a trap. It does not call to us. It calls to them. We do not know what waits in the darkness, but we know one thing: the first to answer will be the first to fall. The room was silent. Then someone whispered, "We answered first." And suddenly, alarms erupted across every military base on the planet. Earth's sky went dark. At the exact moment the Black Archive's warning surfaced, something happened in space. Hundreds of satellites went offline. The Hubble telescope shut down mid-transmission. Every deep space probe beyond Mars stopped responding. In the sky, astronomers watched in horror as an unknown object appeared at the edge of the solar system. A massive structure, larger than the Moon, drifted just outside Pluto's orbit. It had no heat signature, no radio signal. It just existed. Then it vanished. But it didn't disappear. It moved, and it was coming closer. A silent arrival. Inside a top-secret control room in Washington, D.C., world leaders watched as a new object appeared on radar, on the Moon. It hadn't landed. It hadn't traveled. It had just appeared. The object was unlike anything built by human hands, a perfect black monolith, featureless, motionless, as if waiting. The radio channels cracked. Then, a deep, broken voice spoke through every communication device on Earth. "We are watching." At Deep Space Listening Station 41, Alan's breath caught in his throat. Emily stared at the screen. Her voice was barely a whisper. "We woke something up." The message continued. "You were not the ones we expected. Yet you have answered." Alan felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had taken a step forward into the unknown. But now, the unknown was stepping toward them. And it wasn't alone. First contact, or first threat. The world was no longer alone. Humanity had spoken into the void, and something had answered. The unseen visitor. The object on the Moon remained silent. No movement, no sound, no visible activity. It stood there, watching. For hours, every nation on Earth scrambled to respond. NASA and the European Space Agency sent urgent probes. Each one vanished before impact. The U.S. military locked its nuclear weapons on standby. China and Russia prepared emergency countermeasures. The United Nations held an emergency session. But there was one undeniable truth. No weapon, no strategy, no human force could stop something that was already here. And then, at exactly 3:33 a.m. UTC, the power across Earth flickered. The signal returned, and this time it spoke. "You are not ready." Every screen, every radio, every broadcast in the world played the same deep, emotionless voice. This invitation was never yours. The words vibrated inside people's bones, a sound that wasn't just heard, but felt. In every major city, lights flickered. Electronics glitched. Then, something impossible happened. A ship appeared in Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't like any spaceship in human history. It didn't descend. It didn't emerge from a portal. It was just suddenly there. a massive floating geometric structure, shifting between impossible angles. It had no engines, no windows, no visible doors. It was as if space itself had folded and let something ancient step through. In Washington, world leaders stared at the live broadcast, speechless. At Deep Space Listening Station 41, Alan and Emily watched in stunned silence. Then the screen glitched. New symbols flashed across the monitors. Alan recognized them immediately. The same coordinates as before. But this time, they pointed somewhere else. Somewhere much closer. Emily's voice was barely a whisper. They're not here for war. They're here for something else. Alan's throat went dry. Then what are they waiting for? ***. The answer came seconds later. A choice given to humanity. A message appeared on every screen in the world. It was short. It was simple. And it was terrifying. Choose. Send one. One person. One human. To go inside. To represent Earth. To face whatever waited on that ship. The entire world held its breath. This wasn't an attack. This wasn't an invasion. This was an invitation. A test. And the cost of failure. No one knew. The volunteer. Governments argued. Scientists debated. The military strategized. But in the end, it was Dr. Alan Carter who made the decision. I'll go. Emily's eyes widened. Are you insane? Alan smiled faintly. Probably. His entire career had been about searching for something greater. Now, it had come looking for him. And deep down, he knew the truth. If we don't do this, it won't matter what weapons we have. They will leave, and they will never return. He turned to the screen. The ship waited, silent, unmoving, patient. Alan took a deep breath. Then he typed 2 words into the computer. I accept. The moment he hit send, everything changed. The world blurred. The stars shifted. And before anyone could react, Dr. Alan Carter was gone. The unseen war. Dr. Alan Carter was no longer on Earth. One moment, he had been standing inside Deep Space Listening Station 41. The next, he was somewhere else. The world watched in horror. Every satellite, every camera, every radar on Earth lost all trace of him. Alan Carter was gone, and he was not alone. Inside the unknown, Alan's vision blurred. His body felt weightless, like he was floating in an endless void. He could see nothing. No walls, no doors, just an infinite darkness. Then, a whisper. Not a sound, a thought inside his mind. Observe. And suddenly, he saw. The darkness peeled away, revealing something impossible. A battlefield. Not of ships or weapons, not of soldiers or war machines. This was a war of time itself. A war that never ended. Alan stood on the edge of an enormous structure, staring out at something that defied logic. He saw stars frozen in time, locked mid-explosion. He saw entire planets crumbling in slow motion, never fully dying. Above him, beams of light and shadow clashed, not with weapons, but with pure willpower. It was a war without sound, a war fought in the fabric of reality itself, and humanity had just stepped into it. Alan turned slowly, heart pounding. Behind him, standing tall and motionless, was a figure. It wasn't human. It wasn't machine. It was something in between. Its body shifted like liquid metal, but its face was smooth, unreadable. When it spoke, the words were inside Alan's mind. You should not be here, but now, you cannot leave. Alan swallowed hard. Who are you? The being tilted its head. We are the architects, the last witnesses, the keepers of the rift. Alan felt a cold wave of fear wash over him. The rift. The architect turned, pointing toward the battlefield of frozen destruction. This is the war you awakened. Earth's mistake. Back on Earth, panic spread. World leaders demanded answers. Scientists worked frantically to track Alan's location, but their instruments showed nothing. The alien ship on the moon remained silent. Then, another message appeared. The balance has been broken. Across the world, technology malfunctioned. Nuclear reactors flickered, satellites spun out of control. AI systems stopped responding. And for the first time in human history, the stars themselves began to change. The constellations shifted. Entire galaxies appeared to be moving, faster than the speed of light. Something unimaginable was happening. Something Earth could not stop. And Alan Carter was the only one who could understand it. A choice that must be made. Alan turned back to the architect. His voice was quiet. What is this war? The architect's form flickered. A battle beyond time. A war fought by those who came before you. Alan frowned. Before us. The architect studied him. Then, it spoke words that shook Alan to his core. Humanity was never the first civilization to rise. Others came before you. Others fell. Alan's breath caught in his throat. Fell to what? The architect lifted a hand. The battlefield shifted, showing Alan a vision of a great and terrible enemy. A race of beings older than the stars. A force so powerful, so advanced, that even the architects feared them. And now, because humanity had answered the signal, they knew Earth existed. The final warning. Alan's pulse raced. Then why did you bring me here? The architect's body shimmered. Because now, humanity has only two choices. Alan swallowed. And what are they? The battlefield vanished, replaced by a single image. Earth. Join the war. The planet burned in the vision, engulfed in a cosmic battle beyond human comprehension. Alan clenched his fists. And the second choice. The architect's form darkened. Be erased. Alan took a shaky breath. You're giving us an ultimatum. The architect was silent. Then it whispered one final message. Choose quickly, human. They are already coming. Humanity's choice. Dr. Alan Carter stood at the edge of eternity. Before him, the architect remained motionless, its shifting metallic form reflecting the frozen battlefield. Time itself seemed to pause, as if waiting for his answer. Two choices had been given. Join the war. Fight an enemy far beyond human understanding. Be erased, wiped from existence before humanity even knew what it was up against. There was no third option. Alan clenched his fists. And if we refuse? The architect turned slightly, its smooth, unreadable face tilting. Then they will take what they need from you, and Earth will become a memory. Alan felt his pulse hammer in his ears. The weight of every human life, every civilization, every moment of history now rested on his next words. But deep in his gut, he already knew. Humanity never knew how to surrender. Earth reacts. Back on Earth, chaos had already begun. The moonship had awakened. Its smooth black surface pulsed with unreadable symbols. The skies flickered. Stars shifted, breaking every law of astrophysics. AI systems started speaking in languages no one had programmed. And then, without warning, the first attack came. In low Earth orbit, a human satellite exploded, not by a missile, but by something invisible. An unknown force was already testing humanity's defenses. At the Pentagon, in Beijing, in Moscow, in secret underground bunkers, generals screamed orders, world leaders argued, and weapons were prepared. But how do you fight something you can't even see? That's when a new transmission appeared on every screen. A single holographic image. Dr. Alan Carter, speaking from the architect's world. A broadcast across time. Alan didn't know how he was speaking to Earth. He only knew one thing. This might be humanity's last chance. His voice was calm but urgent. Listen to me. The war has already begun. We made contact, and now something ancient is coming for us. The world watched in silence. We have one chance, one choice. Behind Alan, The architect stood like a ghost, watching, waiting. Alan took a deep breath. Then he said the words that would change human history. "We fight." The war begins. The architect's body flickered, its energy pulsing in acknowledgement. Then you must evolve. Quickly. Alan barely had time to react before the entire battlefield shifted. In a single moment, humanity changed. The evolution of a species. Across Earth, something impossible happened. Scientists received blueprints for technologies far beyond human understanding. Engineers watched as AI systems reprogrammed themselves, unlocking knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Pilots saw their aircraft become something more, reacting faster, moving sharper, almost alive. It was as if the universe had rewritten itself, pushing human evolution forward thousands of years in seconds. But it wasn't a gift. It was a weapon. The first phase of war had begun, and humanity had just been given its first upgrade. The first enemy arrives. In deep space, something shifted. The darkness beyond Pluto, where stars seemed to vanish, began to move. The enemy had noticed. And now, they were coming. A new alert flashed on every human system. Radar, telescopes, AI predictions. Incoming hostile forces detected. They had no ships, no transmissions, no warning. Just a single overwhelming message that was broadcast directly into the minds of every living human on Earth. You should have stayed silent. The war had begun, and for the first time in history, humanity wasn't afraid. The battle for existence, the countdown to extinction had begun. In the deepest reaches of space, they were coming. Not with fleets, not with armies. They moved like a storm, an unstoppable force that devoured light itself, and Earth was directly in their path. The arrival of the unknown. At Deep Space Listening Station 41, alarms screamed as the first anomaly was detected. A section of space near Neptune had vanished. Not just light, not just stars. Reality itself had collapsed. Dr. Emily Reyes stared at the screen, hands shaking. That's not possible. But it was happening. Something older than time had arrived, and it wasn't here to negotiate. Earth's first strike. The world's military scrambled. Fleets of fighter jets, stealth bombers, orbital defenses, all useless. Human weapons were designed for physical war. But this was a war of existence. That's when the architect's second message arrived. You must become more than what you are. A wave of knowledge surged through humanity's networks. Blueprints appeared on every screen. New weapons, new machines, new ways to fight a war beyond time. In underground labs and space stations, human scientists rebuilt the impossible. And then, Earth's counterattack began. The evolution of war. But this was a war of existence. That's when the architect's second message arrived. You must become more than what you are. A wave of knowledge surged through humanity's networks. Blueprints appeared on every screen. New weapons, new machines, new ways to fight a war beyond time. In underground labs and space stations, human scientists rebuilt the impossible. And then, Earth's counterattack began. The evolution of war. The first experimental Void-class fighters launched from Earth's hidden orbital station. These weren't jets. These weren't spaceships. They were alive. Machines built with alien knowledge, moving faster than light, bending space around them. For the first time, humanity stepped into the battlefield of the gods. And the gods took notice. The first kill. Near the edge of Saturn, the first encounter took place. The Void-class fighters engage. And what they saw was beyond horror. The enemy had no form, just shifting blackness, tendrils of pure void twisting through space. They didn't fire weapons. They unmade reality around them. But humanity was ready. The first strike came from Squadron Alpha. A single pulse of unseen energy, something never used in war before. The result. One of the creatures screamed. a soundless, mind-shattering wail that echoed through the minds of every soldier in the fleet. And then, it collapsed into itself. Humanity had done the impossible. It had killed something that wasn't supposed to die. Earth's declaration. The moment the first enemy fell, the architect appeared in Alan Carter's mind. Now they will see you. Alan stood inside the impossible void, staring at the battlefield unfolding before him. He had seen the endless war, the ancient battles that had consumed civilizations before humanity even existed, and now he understood. This was not just about survival. This was about proving humanity's place in the universe. Alan's voice rang through every radio, every signal, every soldier's mind. We are here. We will not kneel. We will not run. If you come for Earth, you will not leave. The stars themselves seemed to shudder. The enemy's forces shifted, and then the real war began. The final answer. The war had begun. Earth had drawn the first blood. And now, the universe had responded. The void trembled as the enemy's full force descended upon the solar system. Not as ships, not as soldiers, but as a wave of pure annihilation, and humanity was standing in its way. The last stand at the edge of time. Near Jupiter's orbit, the largest human fleet ever assembled floated in eerie silence. It was a bizarre fusion of Earth's most advanced technology and something alien. Ships that should not exist, designed in days, built in hours, piloted by humans who had never flown in deep space before. Yet, they were ready. They had no choice. The enemy reveals its face. Across the battlefield, reality itself cracked open. The enemy did not arrive. It was simply suddenly there. A colossal entity, its form shifting between monstrous and mechanical, between living and dead. Thousands of tendrils of black void energy reached toward the fleet. The stars behind it vanished. Not hidden, not blocked. Erased. A single message flooded every mind in the solar system. You do not belong. And then the battle began. The fight for everything. The first wave of human fighters surged forward. Void-class ships maneuvered through dimensions, dodging attacks that should have been instant death. Experimental weapons, powered by alien energy, tore into the enemy's form. And for the second time in history, something no one had ever done before. They made it bleed. Black ichor, thicker than space itself, spilled into the void. The beast reeled. The enemy could be hurt. The enemy could be killed. But then, it adapted. The true power of the void. The enemy's wounded flesh did not heal. Instead, it consumed itself. It learned. The next human attack did nothing. The fleet's most powerful weapons, useless. Then, the voice returned. A whisper in every soldier's mind. A voice older than time itself. We were the first, and we will be the last. Alan Carter, still standing inside the architect's void, understood in that moment. This was not a war for victory. It was a war for survival. And they were losing. The final answer. Alan turned to the architect. His voice was calm, but firm. You said we had to evolve. The architect watched him for a long moment. Then it spoke. Then evolve. And suddenly, every human across the battlefield felt it. A shift. A surge of knowledge. A moment of clarity that no species had ever experienced before. Humanity did not just receive an upgrade. It became something new. The birth of something greater. Earth's ships no longer moved with hesitation. They anticipated the enemy's attacks before they happened. Their technology, once stolen from the architects, now changed on its own. They had not just learned. They had transcended. The enemy, for the first time in millions of years, hesitated. And Alan smiled. He sent one final message. You thought we were small, but you forgot something. The fleet charged forward. Humanity no longer fought like a race trying to survive. They fought like a race that refused to be erased. The first true strike hit the enemy. The void tore apart. The wave of destruction stopped. The last words spoken were not from the architects, not from the enemy, but from the humans themselves. We are here to stay. The war ends. For now, in the deep silence of space, the battle was over. The enemy was not destroyed, but it was forced to retreat. And for the first time in recorded history, the void had lost. Alan Carter stood inside the architect's realm, watching the battlefield fade. The architect studied him. Then, for the first time, bowed. You were never meant to answer the signal, but perhaps it was always meant for you. Alan exhaled. The war was over. For now. Because somewhere, in the endless dark, the enemy was watching. And next time, they would not come alone. Alan Carter gazed into the vast darkness of space, knowing that the silence would not last forever. Humanity had survived. But survival was not enough. They had sent an answer to the stars. And now, the universe was listening. Somewhere, in the endless void, the enemy was regrouping, watching, waiting. Next time, they would return. And when they did, humanity would be ready. Because now, they were no longer just explorers, no longer just survivors. They were something greater, something the universe had never seen before. And when the stars called again, humanity would answer first. The end.